Telecommunications sector has no doubt been a major pillar of the Nigerian economy, going by its significant contributions to the country's gross domestic product. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the sector has contributed 4.84 trillion naira to the nation's real GDP in the first 2 quarters of 2022 as of November 2022. Telecommunications operators MTN, Globalcom, Airtel, and Now Mobile have connected 321 million telephone lines, of which 218 million have been active. Internet subscribers via the narrow band stood at 152.3 million, while broadband was 46.2% deep in the country, and some 88.2 million Nigerians enjoying the facility. With 25 licenses issued to MVNOs, the sector will, of course, break more limitations. Let's talk more about this. And the right person is here. He is the Director of Licensing and Authorization at the Nigerian Communications Commission, Mr. Mohammed Babanjika. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Good having you too. It's my pleasure.
Yes.
To you.
Now, tell us the state of the telecommunications sector now in Nigeria in terms of coverage of the whole country by existing telecommunications companies.
Yeah, thank you once again. In terms of coverage, actually, you know, we have identified some access gaps over time. And with the introduction and licensing of Starlink, which is a subsidiary of SpaceX, is a satellite-based communication system, and the objective behind that, it can beam all nooks and crannies of Nigeria. And according to information that we have so far, that most areas are being covered so far via satellite. But however, there are deliberate attempts also to ensure that we cover the whole country, not necessarily using satellite technology, including but not limited to GSM technology as well. And that's why we came up with deliberate attempts and policies to help us do that by providing the necessary tools in terms of the identified access gaps to bridge up these shortfalls. We have come up with sharing of the excess resources that the mobile network operators have in terms of frequencies assigned for the GSM frequencies. And not only that, we have also equally licensed some companies which you are all aware for 5G. So all these are areas that the Commission is looking at to providing access across Nigeria, which is in tandem with the National Broadband Plan 2020-2025. So this is what I can say on this subject matter, and then I wait for other questions.
Where every service, be it government to government, and government to business, and government to citizens, is going online. Let me ask you that, to what extent is NCC prepared to deepen access to telecommunication service across the country?
Come again, it's not clear.
Okay, I'm saying that we're in a digital world where we have government to government and government to business, and of course, government to citizen. All of this is going online. How prepared is NCC as the regulator?
Right. Actually, if you look at the nature of businesses right now in Nigeria, not only government to government, even government to businesses are being done online. Reference can be made during the COVID-19 pandemic era, whereby businesses in Nigeria were done online, and it has contributed credibly towards the GDP of the country. So now that tells us a test run that actually we are moving in the right direction, and we are building up on that by granting more licenses for the internet services, and also providing access frequencies, most especially in the 600 megahertz frequency that will be soon issued to the operating companies, so that we will have seamless connectivity wirelessly across the country.
It's been observed that not all countries is covered with telecom service as the Commission recognizes the existence of clusters of access and gaps in the country. Now, my question really is this about the recent issuance of mobile virtual network operators licenses. Let us know how this licensing model will access Nigeria's quest for ubiquitous and, of course, universal services and access across the country. What does it really mean to us?
That's right. The MVNO, that is Mobile Virtual Operator License, was conceptualized some years ago, but we actualized it last year by coming up with a policy framework and licensing framework for mobile virtual services. We have even categorized them into 5: the full MVNO, the aggregator MVNO, and the other 3 MVNOs. All these are deliberate attempts to bridge the gap of the underserved and unserved areas by using the resources, the redundant resources of the operating companies, where they can find a niche to ensure that the underserved are served at a very affordable rates. And we have granted so far in phase 1 about 25 licenses in those categories, except category 1, which is basically dealing with equipment vendoring per se. And that one too, we have 1 that have acquired or in the process of acquiring that license. They have bidded for it and they have gotten it. We are just trying to tidy up the internal processes, and it will be granted very soon, which will be the 26th number of MVNOs in Nigeria. However, the MVNO Tier 5, if you look at the scope, that guarantees that service cutting across Tier 4, Tier 3, Tier 2, and Tier 1, if it so wishes. And they are also qualified to even get their own resources, such as numbering and frequencies when available. But however, to kickstart it, they will negotiate with the operating companies to use their resources and provide services in the areas they have seen and that they have niche over it. So commercial agreements are ongoing between those licensees. I think they are about in the region of 8 in that category so far. They will negotiate with the operating companies for the commercial terms and conditions, which will be filed later with the NCC, and they are good to go therefrom.
But let me ask you that, is the MVNO a means to an end? Or before I ask that, or it's a 2-in-1 question. First is, how many MVNOs licenses does NCC intend to issue in the first instance? And is this really a means to an end with respect to bridging the extant digital divide in Nigeria?
Let me make a clarification here. The MVNO concept, we did not regionalize it in Nigeria. It's a national license. You can play anywhere within the geographical ends of Nigeria. So it is not regional, but if you think you will go regional, there is nothing stops you from doing that, which means that you will now get a region that you want to play there. It's good to start, and you are good to go regulatory-wise and expand thereafter. So the MVNO is actually a national license, not a regional license. And for the number, we did not cap the number so far. It is the demand and supply that if there is need to increase more, the Commission will do so. As I told you, this is just phase 1, and phase 2 is in the pipeline as I'm talking to you, with about more than 10 licenses that will be considered and will be issued recently in addition to the 25-26 number that I just mentioned.
I want to also do as a follow-up. I asked you, I said, as a follow-up in the fact that will existing players allow the MVNOs thrive in this market? Some are worried that there might be interest or clash of interest in all of this.
Great. You remember I did mention about the framework. The framework, when we normally do that, we involve all stakeholders, meaning all the operating companies are part and parcel of the development of the framework. So they are fully aware that a license is going to be created and they have to have synergy to make it go. That's why in the advert, if you look at it, we said negotiating with the operating companies will come after the license. So which now means that all those 26 that I've just mentioned, they will go into commercial negotiations and agreements with the telcos. They are fully aware and they are there to agree with them based on the services they are going to bring. So the question of whether the operating companies are cooperating or otherwise does not even arise in the first instance because they are part and parcel of the framework. We had a stakeholder engagement where inputs were gotten from them, and we have looked at them and factored into the framework, and they are fully aware of that.
Interesting stuff, and thanks for that clarity there. One of the lofty targets of the federal government is to achieve 70% broadband or high-speed internet penetration by 2025, in line with Nigeria's National Broadband Plan 2020 to 2023. But my question specifically to you is, how well are we on course this, and what extent will the robust broadband penetration improve national economy?
Great. If you look at the National Broadband Plan 2020-2025, it's a deliberate attempt by the federal government of Nigeria to ensure all citizens have access, high-speed internet connectivity. And if you remember, I did mention that we licensed 5G technology. We have granted the 3.5 gigahertz frequency to drive the 5G connectivity frequencies. And I did also mention we are considering of giving 600 megahertz frequency also to support that to happen. In addition, we are encouraging the tower companies to ensure that BTSs are provided in locations that requires that to ensure that traffic is actually attainable. And not only that, we encourage co-location so that we don't have issues of getting bottlenecks in tower erection. And we just come up with a guideline on tower erection in terms of distance and height. It is said that a distance of 1 kilometer in between base stations, and also that the height should not be more than 55 meters ahead, which is in consonance with the NCAA guidelines. So there might be dwarf antennas in between, because when we talk of 5G connectivity and high-speed internet, which runs on millimeter wave, the shorter the distance, the faster. So we have taken that into consideration, and we are looking into it and ensure that such connections are made possible to ensure internet high-speed broadband connectivity in Nigeria.
So the outlook looks very good because we saw some beautiful figures even from the telecom sector sometime late last week.
And also, let me just mention a little bit about the status of the National Broadband Plan 2020-25 as it is as of today. The NCC is providing industry leadership to facilitate the achievement of 90% broadband penetration by the year 2025, and well above 50% at the end of 2023, meaning this year. Currently, over 150 million Nigerians have access to the internet, while over 80 million can access high-speed internet. That is the status as at today. And by the end of the year, we will see that we are attaining 50% of penetration of high-speed broadband internet access. So we are bent on it, and that's why we are coming up with series of innovations to ensure that that happens.
It's a good way to live it. Very interesting one. I would also be here to ask questions and updates on regards to all of these figures. Mr. Mohammed Babajika is the Director, Licensing and Authorization at the Nigerian Communications Commission. Thank you so much for speaking with us on Business Nigeria. We appreciate this.
Thank you. And in the conclusion, I would like to mention that the over-the-top services, the Commission is fully encouraging that, and we have come up with a framework for digital service provisioning.
Wow.
That means DSPs, the digital service providers, whereby we look into the over-the-top services that are all over now, and we are going to soon start granting licenses in that regard. All these are deliberate attempts that make businesses and government activities easier and smoother. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great information there and great news for the operators. Do enjoy the rest of your day, Mr. Babajika. Well, it's that time.
Thank you so much.